Hey, I'm truthfully not exactly sure how to start this video. I've never done a video like this before, but I feel compelled to talk about an experience that I had with the Lantern Rite quest of 2024, essentially the Gaming quest. There have been plenty of times where a Genshin Impact quest has given me things to chew on or has helped me learn something. But this was the first time that I've ever had a quest that I had an initial reaction to it. And over the course of playing through the rest of the quest, my initial perspective was so broadened. And I know that this quest had mixed reviews. Some people said it made them uncomfortable. Some people really loved it. And I was able to, while playing through it, have such an amazing conversation with my chat, my viewers who were there with me, about essentially different experiences that people have with their parents and how that influenced the way that they mentally and emotionally responded to this quest. If you want to watch my whole playthrough, I will link it in the description. But I just want to give you guys the best part of like what my playthrough meant to me. So it's not quite playthrough. It's not quite just me talking to the camera for 20 minutes straight. It's gonna be somewhere in between. But yeah, without further ado, let's just get into it. Also, I have a bit of a head cold, so if I sound real like nasally or sound like I have a frog in my throat, that's why I apologize. It's also why my nose is bright red. So there are a lot of surrounding events and characters and overlapping stories in this quest. We see Shenhe and Ganyu developing kind of like a friendly sisterly relationship. We see Xianyun being so motherly to her own, like her kids, who she would call her kids, and those who she's essentially like adopted. By the way, I love Xianyun. I was kind of like whatever about Cloud Retainer. I found her just kind of verbose and over the top, but I always loved the stories that she would tell about Ganyu and Shenhe and the way she'd embarrass them and like this like mom behavior. But how she spoke to Shenhe, Shenhe is beloved, socially awkward, doesn't know really what she's saying type of person. She never really scolded her. She always just handled her with grace and praised her for her good qualities and what her earnesty, even if it was perceived as kind of awkward or uncouth, what her honesty is ultimately a good quality. So anyways, this is a side note. I loved Xianyun. I loved that part of the quest. And I liked the premise of Gaming's estrangement from his parents, from his dad. It's a very sensitive topic. And it was a long-standing conflict. It was a conflict that had happened, and then I think it was at least a year in between the fight and now. It wasn't like, oh yeah, me and my dad had a spat a week ago, and like, it'll be fine. So going into this quest, once we had all the information about Gaming, I was like, okay, that's really tough. He's essentially had an estranged relationship with his dad, and it may or may not ever get repaired. You know, Gaming is old enough to support himself. He has 2 jobs, essentially, one that pays the bills and one that like suits his passion, essentially. I was like, okay, that's a good place to start. He obviously has friends. It's so sad that he is not in relationship with his dad. But hopefully, he'll be able to establish himself and he will be happy. And I was like, I was fully expecting a quest that centered on him finding his own way, essentially, accepting the separation from his parents. And I can't fully explain where that expectation came from. That was what I thought was going to happen. I thought it was going to be kind of a bittersweet, maybe like a little bit of support from dad in the end, but ultimately it's going to be about Gaming and where he sees himself in the future. So the part of the quest that started to make me feel a bit uncomfortable, I think it was 2 days after Gaming had told the traveler about his situation with his dad, and it was in the same day that we had met him. Brand new relationship, right? Then we go up to the mountain. We do Xianyun's little kite building seminar. her kids and her, like, you know, just children that she's taken under her wing are there. In the end, there's a dinner that happens between the traveler, Xianyun, Ganyu, and Shenhe. At which point, by one way or another, Paimon decides to tell the whole table about Gaming's situation.
One has only heard that the two are not on good terms.
He ran away from home and hasn't been back since.
Oh?
And my first reaction, and what made me, I think, put up my wall initially was, whoa, that was not our information to share. Especially with people who are not part of Gaming's family. And I still kind of feel like that wasn't ours to share. But what that caused was now Xianyun saying, essentially like, we have to do something. We have to help him reconnect with his family, with his dad.
One means to say that Lantern Rite should be a day of reunion. It is a time to address problems before they turn into regrets.
Okay. And at that point, I was like, whoa, no, I don't want to do that. That's like totally not our place.
Okay, I feel a little uncomfortable. Really feel like it's not my business. It's not our business.
I can't imagine being in that position and choosing to intervene in a family that I barely knew, in a situation that I had really only gotten the flyover of from Gaming. So that was what initially caused my discomfort. Regardless of if Xianyun is a motherly figure, regardless of if she's an adeptus and has a pre-existing relationship with Gaming, I looked at it from, okay, if I was in this position, if I really was the traveler, I think I would probably need to wipe my hands of this and say, I'm not comfortable with this, good luck. Maybe don't. So that was my initial reaction. And I think an important thing to note here, my reaction was heavily based on my own experience, which is, it's probably not going to be what you expect based on that setup. I have extremely supportive parents, and I do not say that without recognizing how lucky I am, how blessed I am to have parents who absolutely guided me and advised me and helped me avoid a few wrong turns, but ultimately believed in me and believed that I could accomplish what I wanted to do, and never at any point threw any like just discouragement my way. My mom, you know, it was even in the small things too. I at one point wanted to teach in Korea, and I was going about many different ways of learning Korean. I was taking online courses, but I was also watching a ton of Korean media, and I also loved K-dramas. You know, the K-wave sunk its hook in me when I was in high school. She would watch K-dramas with me, and she genuinely, like, I think that was just the standard in my family, was what my kids are into, I'm gonna get into. And I have carried that into my own relationships. If my friend is into something, I want to get into it, not in a even like a phony way. Like, I don't want to pretend to get into it. Whatever my friend or my loved one is into, I like them enough and I care about them enough to believe that there's a good chance that I will like what they like also. And even if I don't appreciate it to the same level, there's such warmth in someone taking interest in what you are interested in. That's like a support in action, as opposed to just, yeah, do it, you know? So I am in, and especially growing up, was in a very unique situation where I had overwhelming support from my parents. The ideal, really. And I think it is a huge part of why I ended up being able to pursue ultimately like a purely independent career, and why I am in this position and why I'm sitting here talking to you. My parents never made me feel like that I wasn't capable of doing something. And that was the lens, which naturally, just by way of this being my natural reaction, that I was like, if I was in this situation with my parents, I wouldn't I would be offended by anyone else getting involved. I have friends who are in a more like estranged relationship or like a discomfort to uncomfortable relationship with their parents. And I would never dream of intervening. So that conversation happens on the mountain, right? They make a plan and they start acting on this plan. We pick up Gaming's father.
Oh, so you're Gaming's father. It's nice to meet you. Just leave this delivery to him. Trust Paimon, he's got this in the bag. Gaming is super good at what he does.
I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't like this.
Seems like you've made some sort of name for yourself at least.
Now we've put him in this awkward situation. Dude.
The goods are all in order?
We do the whole freaking mountain shaper mood carver bandit situation. Drop all your mora.
Present your exquisite ornaments at once.
These old fossils.
Bring them forth readily and without protest.
And I'm feeling a lot of discomfort. And I don't remember exactly what the switch is or when the switch occurred. And I want to be very careful with what I say here because I don't want to make any generalizations about cultures. In the conversations that I was having with my viewers at the time, I was very much just listening to individual stories. If someone is of a particular culture and they want to speak in generalities about that culture, absolutely do it. If you want to share your experience in the comments, do it. But I don't want to speak for anyone else, and I didn't want to like unnecessarily affirm something that I didn't truly know. So, but the first thing that started to shift my point of view was the recognition that this premise was put into this game. This game obviously comes out of China. The thought that kicked off all the other thoughts was the understanding that obviously this premise is not far enough removed from real life by the people who created it enough to not put it into the game. That was probably the most confusing way I could have possibly said it. I'll probably just play the clip here, honestly, because I said this much more clearly when I was in the moment.
This is very interesting. It's very interesting experiencing this quest. And like, in one sense, my first instinct was to acknowledge how like inappropriate it seems to me because it's not ingrained in like my culture and my family. Like, this is not something that would ever intervening, I suppose, is not something that would be, that's not normal. But at the same time, I can understand that like I'm peering into another culture where obviously this is close enough to reality to not feel strange. And also the subject matter, I mean, there's obviously like there's very clearly going to be a lesson in this, and maybe like the lesson of letting your children pursue their dreams, like that seems quite normal to me, but that probably definitely is not the case for a lot of other countries and cultures. I can come out of my own perspective a little bit to see it's how it might be perceived and like the different meaning it may hold in the country of origin that is coming from, and probably many others. But that was the first thought that I had, and the thing that started to spur me more toward empathy as opposed to just viewing it through my own lens. Obviously, it was written this way for a reason. And that is when my chat started to share their experiences about their families. Especially people who did not feel that their parents supported them or even believed in them to really pursue what they want to pursue or live how they want to live. I think I should just play the clip here, give you the highlights.
The only thing I want to say about this quest and the way it comes off to Western viewers and those not in this situation is that, as someone who's always struggled with having open conversations with their parents, hearing someone tell the parent what we would like to say and them say the reason they are so firm in their ideals is very nice. Jolly tells Yiptak what I wish I could tell me parents and have them listen. I'm Hispanic and family is number one over anything.
Interesting. So to some who wish that they could get through to their parents, but can't, the idea of an outside authoritative party intervening in the situation, such as like, you know, in this situation, an Archon and an Adeptus would be like a welcomed relief as opposed to an invasion of privacy. Yeah, Yuktak is not super stubborn. He's mostly concerned with Gaming's well-being because it feels like you're not being listened to and you can't get through. It's like things that you're either not able to say yourself or have said and have ended yourself up in like in a strange situation. So intervention would be welcomed.
This also
Correct.
depends if the parents actually care about their child. Not all parents are oh so loving, oh boy, I want my child to live a happy life. Parents are humans too.
That's
they can
true.
be nasty no matter the culture.
That's true. That's true. At least in this case with Kaming's dad, it's like he's more concerned with Kaming's long-term well-being, not necessarily like the carrying on of his business and like his legacy. That's like the best possible reason for him to have acted this way, in my opinion. But continuance of legacy and like his business and his name probably is a primary reason for some parents who want their kids to like take over. It's also more like if they listened and talked it out instead of just saying because I said so would be nice. Kaming is doing well for himself, but Yiptak's worry is clouding his ability to be happy and support his son. A lot of Hispanic culture is based on no matter what you want, put the family and its reputation first, even if you have to suffer quietly. But I would personally love someone to sit down and soften up my parents in order to work things out. Not only to have someone express to them how you feel and what you want, but to even have someone, specifically an adult parental figure, to care so much and believe in you when your own parents don't is also a part. Wow, I am learning a lot. It took me probably 30 minutes to fully go from this is weird to it's weird to me, but this is not. That's because this isn't really about me. Talk to me when you have a job. I think that's why so many complain the quest is weird. They don't go through things like that with their family. I'm Filipino American. My dad said almost the same thing as Iptak. So this quest really made me yearn for a Paimon and a traveler to butt in. Wow. In my mind, it was an invasion. But in people who are in places similar to Gaming, it's like I wish someone would do that for me. In my personal experience, my dad wanted me to keep with the family business. And I wanted to study other things that I like, but I couldn't talk to him because he didn't listen to me. So my mom was the one who convinced him to let me do what I like. Sometimes it's necessary to have someone else who is more convincent to our parents. The entire quest is very relatable to my own experience. It feels very seen, upset, and I cried a lot. Yiptak's demeanor made me feel like I was experiencing the same with my parents. I'd find myself feeling bad and frustrated. The writers did hit the spot about the struggle most of us Asians face. I don't think it's surprising considering the path the parents want us to follow. I am full white American and this quest is deep. It's just a matter of your family environment. I have a lot of pressure from my grandparents about what is an appropriate job to get rather than following my dreams. Western countries have not an easier time cutting off family, but just moving themselves away from family. There's such a togetherness in Eastern families, it's hard to get away from it all. I can see why it's so jarring to butt in from my perspective, but with Gaming, it's so hard for them to listen to their own kids, but they believe what's best. I mean, that's what parents do, right? They do what they think is best. And at least in my family, that what they thought was best was letting me and my sister like do what we want to do and experiment. But in other families, it's the best thing for you to do is what I tell you. We're all complex characters. That's a good summation of this conversation, Ace. I appreciate it. We're all complex characters.
You are all loved, appreciated, worth the moon and stars and more, and doing your best. Donk Slay.
Yes. Like I said then, it did not even occur to me that some people might feel so hopeless in their relationship with their parents that the idea of a higher power, essentially, higher power, familial, outside figure could come in and help, actually help take the kid's side, not just be interested in resolving it, but interested in helping a parent see their child differently. It didn't occur to me that that is something that like some kids and some adults with parents dream of and wish could be reality. And that there are some people who might have played through this Lantern Rite quest and had left with the reaction of, oh, I wish someone would do that for me.
I have heard many of my acquaintances praise Gumming for his kind, selfless, and courageous disposition. To have a child so accomplished and upright, you must be a very proud parent indeed, Uncle Ip. One of my old friends has several grown daughters. Rather than fretting about their future, however, she prefers to let them find their own way. If your children are aiming for the stars, clipping their wings will only cause them to come crashing down. You need to let out the line for a kite to soar.
It seems I was too stuck in my ways.
Perfect. The time is nigh for us to make an appearance.
We aim to give them a demonstration of familial love.
Oh no.
How about we do something fun?
That sounds about right. Take her to do something fun, and perhaps she'll loosen up.
He's learning by their failure.
Like we used to do when we would carry stones up and down the mountain from dawn until dusk, picking herbs to eat for dinner along the way. If that is what you ask of me.
You're gonna get
Then
child
that is what I
protection
shall
services
do.
call on you.
You could get a less taxing job, and we could grab dim sum together from time to time.
Huh. I didn't know dim sum was such an important affair, Master.
Shh.
Master, did I say something wrong earlier?
Not at all. Certain unforeseen variables may have presented themselves along the way, but the outcome proved favorable. The plan was a success.
Then I helped?
Yeah, good job, Shenhe.
Naturally.
Oh.
Your purity of spirit is one of your greatest strengths, Shenhe. You need not change who you are.
And even now I'm thinking of family members who don't have as wonderful of parents as I do, who probably wish that someone would step in to help their parents understand them better. And even just to help their parents understand that like what the parent believes is best in life, or what the parent thinks is best for the child, is not necessarily what the kid thinks is best. And I'm even talking about adult parents to adult kids, because that power dynamic, that doesn't go away. The desire to like please and be approved of by your parents, that does not go away when you're an adult. You learn how to temper it. You learn how to care about other people's opinions and care more about your own opinion. You come to be defined by your own morals and convictions and beliefs. Example, many people older than myself, 1 to 2 generations above me, believe that owning a home is the best end all be all. And if you haven't bought a home by the time you're 30, or by the time, God forbid, the time that you're 40, you were absolutely a failure and none of your other accomplishments matter. Not even considering the fact that buying a home is nigh impossible, even on a 2-person salary. Buying a home is so much harder than it was at that time. Maybe not everyone wants to own a home. Some people like to move around. There's the economic difference, but then there's also just different goals that people have for themselves. And sometimes the chasm between parental expectations and hopes and a child's expectations and hopes can never be bridged. I've never felt the cogs in my head turning so fast, and it was such like a mentally laborious hour of just realizing like my first reaction was purely based on my own experience. I don't think that was necessarily wrong, but I didn't consider what this might feel like to someone who's in a different situation than I am. And I'm so grateful that I had this realization before the rest of the quest, like in the middle, because I got to enjoy it without the whoa. Whoa. So there's a lot of factors, and I'm sure you got the sense that there's no formula of demographic components that make parents supportive. I think America is generally more individualistic, but that doesn't mean every parent just wants whatever their kid wants, you know? There are some cultures that are more like family is everything. Your individual dreams don't matter. It's about the entire family, but it varies so much, and each person's experience is different. But somehow on a website that is known for degeneracy and toxicity, my chat and myself were able to have such a constructive conversation where people who feel that they don't have support were able to find just a little bit of support and understanding in some random chat room. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for my community and how it's like, it's such a rare occurrence that a conversation is able to happen with that many people without it turning toxic. There wasn't even one person in chat who was trying to like cause problems, and that alone, honestly, that alone makes this worth commemorating and saving on my YouTube channel. Because although I don't want to make it all about me, but it is absolutely a point of pride and honor that my chat acts honorably and like my community acts honorably to such a degree as this. So, and that's like the culture that has built in our community, right? What an amazing quest. What Gaming's dad was such an interesting character, and obviously like there is an element of otherworldliness. Familial conflict is one of the most universal and complicated problems in the world. It affects almost every person at some point in their lives. Change doesn't happen overnight, unlike in this, one might dream that someone's parent might have a change of heart in one night. Though the outcome, the wonderful, beautiful outcome of this quest is but a dream to most people, there is no denying that media shifts culture. And while the people in my chat, the people who experience this quest, may not ever have the conflict with their own parents or parent resolved, one can hope that the cycle doesn't repeat itself with their children. And there is no denying that movies and games and TV shows and books have the ability to change or cement a conviction in someone's mind. And personally for me, I walked away from this quest with a stronger sense of empathy, and I hope my reaction time will be a bit quicker next time, that I might consider things from someone else's perspective a little bit earlier. But through the experiences shared, vulnerabilities shared through members of my chat, and through the quest itself, I was able to grapple with something that I hadn't thought much about in the past, aside from my parents and friends that I've had who have had struggles with their parents. Empathy is so powerful, and while it is natural to some people, it is absolutely a muscle that can be exercised. Compassion and giving benefit of the doubt, like, you don't wake up with the ability to do that. You're not born with it, I would argue. I think it is like, it's a choice that you make, and it's a conviction that you hold, and it's a muscle and ability that you practice. It becomes natural via commitment and practice. I think that's true for a lot of different things. So I wanted to share that experience with you guys. Well, also, this is like my pseudo dish plays the Lantern Rite quest, because it was so fantastic. And I've come to understand that the CEO of MiHoYo really does take pride in the fact that games can shift culture. I heard that from a HoYoverse employee just the other day, and that obviously is also true for the people who create and craft these stories. Like I said, there was conflicting reactions to this quest across the globe of people who played it. And that's good. I think that's good, because if there's no controversy, there's no tension, no one's learning anything necessarily, no one's grappling with convictions that they hold. Anyway, I hope that was clear. I hope that made sense. And I just want to also send another huge thank you to the people who kind of bore their souls in my chat and shared about their pains and woes with their parents, and how helpful that was just to me. Even outside parties getting involved in family affairs, the fact that that could cause a reaction in me so different from someone else who has actually experienced something like this, like, that just goes to show how powerful it is that we share these experiences, and our understanding of the world and people as a whole just broadens and broadens and broadens. And hopefully by the end of it, we can all communicate a little better. We can hold a little bit more benefit of doubt, a little bit of more compassion for each other. So yeah, anyway, loved Lantern Rite this year. Thank you, Hoyo. Thank you for riding this quest. Thank you to the people who watched me. And thank you to you who watched this. And hopefully, I just have to hope that this was somewhat coherent and that I haven't accidentally offended someone or made a generalization or come off as braggy or like falsely pious. I just wanted to share that I had kind of a vulnerable experience, and I had a learning experience, and I had like a humbling experience in like the best way. So that's it. That's all I have for you. That's it. That's all. I'm done. Thanks for watching. Subscribe. Hit the little bell if you'd like. And let me know if you want more videos like this. More like sit down, casual, chatting type stuff. I mean, this is like largely what I do when I'm streaming. But I just have someone else on the other side to like give me things to talk about. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening. I will do my best to read as many comments as I can. Thanks in advance. Bye. Bye.
Son, if that's your dream, then it doesn't matter how difficult it is. As long as you put in the work, then any obstacle can be overcome in time. Really, when I was young, I also... Actually, how about we save that story of my past for another time? All I really want to say is, I've changed my mind. Much like this kite, you also deserve to soar to new heights.